During April, in the 289th year of the Dajing Empire, the commander of the North marched towards the capital in retribution for taking away his commander's seal and under the pretense of saving Emperor Xiao Xiya from his power-hungry ministers. The empire's peace and stability were utterly destroyed. To stop the commander, the emperor gathered his troops from all parts of the kingdom to fight for him. However, the commander of the North is an unstoppable force. Having fought all his life against the Huns, he easily reached the north shore of the Yellow River. In the Kylan pavilion within the palace, everyone feels unsettled. They know that once the commander of the North crosses the Yellow River, the capital will be under attack. No one knows what may happen to them. Despite the looming war, Xiao Xiya does not seem bothered at all. The emperor simply continues with his routine and spends his days visiting Shen Yu. On one particular day, an attendant announces that the queen wants the emperor to see the third prince. Irritated at the message, the emperor dismisses the attendant. Wow, what good-for-nothing dad. The emperor quickly returns his attention to Shen Yu. Through sign language, Shen Yu tells the emperor that he should leave and visit the queen instead. Xiao Xiya whines and tells Shen Yu that spending time with him is the only time he can relax. He then asks Shen Yu not to kick him out. Seeing as Shen Yu is indifferent to his grumbling, the emperor diverts Shen Yu's attention back to him by asking where Shen Yu thinks Su Anxiao will cross the river. Shen Yu remembers the map from the Art of War book he copied when he was attempting to regain the commander's favor. He recalls that there are two sections of the river where the stream is gentle. Should a person want to cross the river, they would take one of those routes. However, as Jun Su Anxiao does not follow convention, there is only one route that he would take. Shen Yu confidently points at a spot on the map. The emperor contemplates Shen Yu's suggestion and makes up his mind. In that spot, he shall capture Jun Su Anxiao. 10 days later, on the night before the army of the North crosses the river, Emperor Yi's army launched a surprise attack to capture the commander of the North alive. Everyone is surprised at the emperor's counterattack. When the people of Dajing heard the news, everyone rejoiced. As for Shen Yu, he stares out the window with Jun Su Anxiao's capture laying heavily on his conscience. While it was he who was behind the commander's capture, he could not help but wonder why he felt bad. Maybe because you still love him? The emperor excitedly enters Shen Yu's room as he calls his name. He holds Shen Yu's hands and praises him for helping him capture Jun Su Anxiao. The emperor tells Shen Yu that he should take the first credit as it is all Shen Yu's plan. He says he kept his promise to keep the commander alive so that Shen Yu could interrogate him for his mother's whereabouts. Shen Yu is stunned. The thought that Jun Su Anxiao is still alive lifts the heavy burden in his heart. The emperor is so pleased with Shen Yu's work that he calls him his mascot. I think you must mean Lucky Charm. The emperor cannot stop gushing at Shen Yu for being a descendant of Yu Meng and as intelligent and talented as the rumors say. Using his tactical mind, Shen Yu brought down the North's army in a single move. The emperor looks at Shen Yu meaningfully. He promises to allow Shen Yu to visit Jun Su Anxiao and intends to uphold his promise, but with one condition. The emperor wants Shen Yu to accept him. What does he mean by that? As a lover? With his mind made up, Shen Yu accepts the offer. Thinking that Shen Yu is still in love with Jun Su Anxiao, the emperor studies Shen Yu's face and leans closer. Shen Yu vehemently denies it, explaining that he only wants to know where his mother is. The emperor acquiesced and tells Shen Yu that he may see Jun Su Anxiao, but he must wait in the cell next to where the commander is. In the dark cell, Shen Yu cannot help his heart from beating erratically. Even with his heart broken so harshly, it still beats for the commander. Shen Yu denies even to himself that he misses him. He purses his lips as he thinks to himself that he simply feels sad that Jun Su Anxiao will die or that he may never see his mother again. In the other cell housing the commander of the North, Xiao Xiya cruelly mocks the prisoner. The commander kneels on the damp floor, his hands stretched out by cold chains. The emperor tells Jun Su Anxiao that he never expected they would meet as enemies, when only last year they were sworn brothers enjoying a drink together. Jun Su Anxiao snickers as he tells the emperor that anyone who wins a war through underhanded tactics and dares to gloat is not someone he would consider worthy to be his brother. The emperor knows that a win is still a win. The fact remains that Jun Su Anxiao lost against the emperor in both war and love, and the final laugh belongs to the emperor. Jun Su Anxiao shot back that their difference lies in how they gained Shen Yu's favor. The emperor won Shen Yu's affection through schemes. He knows that the emperor deliberately found Shen Yu when Dairo pushed him off the carriage and that he sent the Black Feather Army to raid Qin Huai Tower to abduct Shen Yu. The commander tells the emperor to be good to Shen Yu or he might lose his affection. Jun Suangshao smugly says that even if he broke Shen Yu's heart, he knows that Shen Yu will never forget him. The emperor is clearly irked, picks up the chained whip and uses it to swipe the commander's smugness off his face. In his anger, the emperor mocks the commander for believing that Shen Yu still loves him. For someone who hurt Shen Yu, the commander still had the gall to gloat that he once held Shen Yu's affection. Xiao Xiya tells him he'd heard Shen Yu crying in the middle of the night for Jun Suangshao. The commander cockily asks why it should matter when Shen Yu is just a mute puppet for Jun Suangshao's entertainment. The emperor has no say in how the commander treats him. In the other dark cell, Shen Yu's shoulders shook. The commander's cold words strengthened Shen Yu's resolve. He holds his chest, listening to the thumps of his broken heart as he reminds himself that he is nothing but a slave to the commander. Even if he spent sleepless nights suffering from nightmares, yearning for him, the commander is still the man who broke his heart. After making his choice, Shen Yu pushes open the gate to Jun Suangshao's cell and quietly enters. Xiao Xiya continues to mock Jun Suangshao, telling him that being in prison proves that he does not deserve Shen Yu. The commander challenges his logic as the two situations are unrelated. The commander then notices that Shen Yu entered the cell and calls him by his nickname like he used to. Shen Yu communicates in sign language and sarcastically tells him that he seems to be in good shape. The commander addresses him humorlessly and asks Shen Yu how he feels now that he has been defeated. Shen Yu admits that he is indeed delighted but points out that there is more to his delight. The commander looked at him impassively, his eyebrows raised, encouraging Shen Yu to tell him more. In a bout of pettiness, Shen Yu hugs the emperor's arm and tells Jun Suangshao that it is he who actually orchestrated his defeat so that the emperor could capture Jun Suangshao alive and avenge Shen Yu. A dramatic pause hangs in the air. Shen Yu stares down at him while the commander looks up with a betrayed expression on his face. He remembers that after Shen Yu left, he was plagued by nightmares that made him wake up in cold sweat and a heavy heart. Watching Shen Yu stand so close to Xiao Xiya lights a fire in his chest. He looks at the emperor while staking his claim on Shen Yu. Jun Suangshao insists that no one, not even the emperor, can take Shen Yu from him. He then commands Shen Yu to stay away from the other man. I don't think you're in a position to give orders. Shen Yu held tighter to the emperor out of pettiness. He cannot believe the commander had the audacity to order him around. The emperor holds the hand that hugs his arm, shocking Shen Yu at the sudden contact. Shen Yu looks at the emperor, who asks why he came to the cell. Shen Yu hesitates for a while and points a finger at the emperor to show that it was him he came there for. Take that, Jun Suangshao. The emperor tells Jun Suangshao that he is overly confident in thinking that Shen Yu still cares for him. For a fleeting moment, the commander looks sad. He can feel the change in Shen Yu as he notices that Shen Yu no longer looks at him with adoration like he used to. He is no longer shy and displays strong-mindedness despite his naive-looking face. Shen Yu has developed a decisive personality and built his confidence while away from Jun Suangshao. He has changed for the better, and he has become so glorious. Jun Suangshao cannot take his eyes off Shen Yu even though this change bothers him. He feels that the distance between them has gone further, and that Shen Yu is breaking away from his grasp. The rugged look that Jun Suangshao gave makes Shen Yu so uncomfortable that he has to look away. This reaction gives Jun Suangshao hope. He realizes that it was all an act. If Shen Yu did not care for him, he would not bother to come to that damp cell. With those thoughts, he let out a relieved sigh. Jun Suangshao asks Shen Yu why he is deliberately avoiding eye contact. Shen Yu shot back that he wasn't avoiding. In his irritation, Shen Yu lets go of the emperor's arm. He gets closer to Jun Suangshao to instill in him that he is grasping at straws and that Shen Yu is only there to find out where his mom is. Jun Suangshao notices that Shen Yu feels overwhelmed and that he is right. He admits to sending his men to take Shen Yu's mom away from Magistrate Shen's mansion. He teases Shen Yu that his willingness to divulge Shen Yu's mom's location would depend on Shen Yu's attitude. Shen Yu is stunned as dread settles in his stomach. Out of irritation, the emperor calls out the commander's bluff, orders him to answer, and uses the whip to drive the message home. Despite the pain, the commander mockingly laughs at the emperor and challenges him to use his most brutal method to make him talk. The emperor burned with anger at Jun Suangshao's cockiness. At being denied an answer, Shen Yu wonders why Jun Suangshao would prefer the harsh treatment instead of telling where Shen Yu's mom is. He looks down dejectedly, grieving for his mother. The emperor sees the look on Shen Yu's face. He holds Shen Yu to his chest as he promises to get the truth out of the commander. He tells Shen Yu that it would be better if he left. Shen Yu realizes that it is indeed for the better. Unable to hold his ground against Jun Xuanxiao, Shen Yu is about to leave. This pissed Jun Xuanxiao off, and he calls for Shen Yu. Like a viper teasing his prey, he instructs Shen Yu to come closer so that he can tell him where his mother is. Holding on to hope and desperate for any information, Shen Yu turns to the commander. The emperor swiftly blocks Shen Yu's path, telling him not to listen to Jun Xuanxiao. Shen Yu knows that the commander is just pulling his leg, for there is no way that he would give in so easily. However, Shen Yu is willing to latch on to any hope just to learn where his mother is, and he would even willingly let himself be ensnared, no matter how obvious the trap is. Like the snake that tempted Eve, the commander asks Shen Yu to come closer. The commander explains that the information is only for Shen Yu to hear. Emperor Yi protests, knowing that Jun Xuanxiao is up to no good. Jun Xuanxiao can see the struggle on Shen Yu's face. All he needs is just a little push. He teases him further by dangling the thing Shen Yu wanted most. Like the devil incarnate, he continues to entice Shen Yu. Shen Yu swallows all apprehensions and throws caution to the wind as he kneels down to get closer. Their faces are finally close to each other, and Jun Xuanxiao's hulking form towers over Shen Yu. Shen Yu looks at the pleased expression on the commander's face and wonders what he plans to do. The commander leans closer to Shen Yu while the other does the opposite. His breath is on Shen Yu's cheek, making the other blush and shiver. The devil swoops down on Shen Yu, catching his lips in a deep kiss. Hook, line, and sinker. The devil just caught his prey. Shen Yu cannot move from the shock and blushes at their shared kiss. His mind can't make heads or tails of the situation. Jun Xuanxiao finally pulls back, allowing Shen Yu's mind to process what had happened. Jun Xuanxiao kisses him again, making Shen Yu flustered like a fool. Regaining composure, Shen Yu signs rapidly and insists on telling where his mother is. Without remorse, Jun Xuanxiao admits that he did agree to tell Shen Yu where his mom is, and the word but hangs in the air. The devil draws closer to Shen Yu, and Shen Yu feels a sharp pain in the juncture of his neck and shoulder. Jun Xuanxiao bid him, wow, what a tease. Just tell him where his mom is. Shen Yu felt the sting of the bite and the tingling sensation it left behind. Jun Xuanxiao says he changed his mind and mocks Shen Yu for being naive. Indignant and embarrassed, Shen Yu pushes the commander away. Irritated at being teased, Shen Yu wonders why the commander would play these dirty tricks on him. The commander no longer wants him, so why would he do such a thing? He can only conclude that the commander only wants to anger the emperor and gain the upper hand. His heart thumps from the lingering sensation of the bite, realizing that Jun Xuanxiao is a madman. Jun Xuanxiao does not hide his delight and gloats at finding out that he still brings out the same effect on Shen Yu. The emperor whips him in anger, but no matter how furious the emperor punishes Jun Xuanxiao, the commander of the north continues to laugh. After so many slashes, the emperor's hand became bloody, while Jun Xuanxiao slumped, scarred, and beaten, yet he pursed his lips, not making a sound. The emperor finally has enough and tells Jun Xuanxiao to enjoy his life as a prisoner. He then turns to Shen Yu to advise him to stay away from this madman, for he will not get the answer he needs. The emperor offers to escort Shen Yu out of the dungeon. As they leave, the emperor places his hand on Shen Yu's shoulder, leading him away from Jun Xuanxiao. The commander sulks and plots as he witnesses his concubine being led away by another man. Jun Xuanxiao calls out to Shen Yu, promising to give him an answer if he comes back the next day. Shen Yu chose to stay quiet this time, not looking at him. The emperor took it upon himself to answer Jun Xuanxiao. He tells the imprisoned commander that there's no way that Shen Yu will come see him again. The sun sets that day, and the lanterns are lit to prepare for the evening. Emperor Yi invited Shen Yu for a few drinks to celebrate the commander's capture and their victory. He enticed Shen Yu to drink one more round. The emperor broached the subject of Jun Xuanxiao's invitation. Knowing that Shen Yu was tempted to meet Jun Xuanxiao, he tells him not to go, for Jun Xuanxiao has no intention of giving Shen Yu an answer. Shen Yu doesn't really respond, so Emperor Yi informs Shen Yu that Jun Xuanxiao's display of affection towards him stems solely from his lineage as a descendant of Yunman. Even if that's true, Xiad is still sus. The emperor claims that Jun Xuanxiao fears losing Shen Yu, not out of affection, but because Shen Yu is from the Chu family of Yunman. He adds that Shen Yu's family name is supposed to be Chu. Surprised at this revelation, Shen Yu wondered what all this meant. The Emperor's eyes squint, realizing that Shen Yu still has not figured it out. He reaches out to Shen Yu's dainty hand and explains that when he saw Shen Yu holding a die on their first meeting, he realized that Shen Yu was connected to the southern country, Yunmeng, when Shen Yu fell off the cliff and they took shelter in a cave. The Emperor also noticed that Shen Yu's left pinky had an extra knuckle. That was when he realized that Shen Yu was a descendant of the Chu family of Yunmeng. Shen Yu wonders at the other's intentions. The Emperor holds Shen Yu's hand tighter and calls Yu's name to catch his attention. Once the beautiful slave looks at him, the Emperor asks Shen Yu if he can have the honor of receiving Shen Yu's exquisite die. Unlike Jun Suanxiao, he promises to cherish it, not take it for granted, and even give Shen Yu whatever he desires. Shen Yu shakes his head and smiles at the Emperor as he tells him he wants nothing from him. He even thanks the Emperor for caring. Ouch. That rejection burns. The Emperor decides to let the matter go and asks Shen Yu not to go to the dungeons. He knows that Jun Suanxiao has something up his sleeves and will take advantage of Shen Yu. Shen Yu readily promises not to visit the dungeons. Shen Yu lifts the pot containing the liquor and offers to pour the Emperor a cup. Xiao Xia is surprised that Shen Yu readily agrees. Shen Yu nods as he tells the Emperor he appreciates his looking out for him. The Emperor accepts the cup and drinks it bottom up. He is pleased that Shen Yu listened to him and encourages Shen Yu to drink with him. As the Emperor downs another cup, Shen Yu sneaks a glance at the pendant attached to the Emperor's waist. Night falls in the cold dungeon, and the gate securing Jun Suanxiao's cell opens. The commander raises his head and smiles faintly as he recognizes his visitor. He expected to see Shen Yu the next day, but he did not expect him to be so eager that he would come to see him before dawn broke. Shen Yu furiously gestures to Jun Suanxiao to stop being so full of himself. Jun Suanxiao smirks. He tells Shen Yu that he is not being a narcissist and that he cannot fool him. Shen Yu has served him for a long time, which makes him sure that Shen Yu is not intimate with the Emperor. Shen Yu looks at the Emperor differently from how he looks at Jun Suanxiao, which is full of adoration and love. Aha, and you didn't cherish it. It's your loss. Shen Yu orders one of the prison guards to release Jun Suanxiao from his chains as he ignores Jun Suanxiao's taunting. The guard obeys Shen Yu's command. After removing the chains, the guard asks Shen Yu if he really doesn't need to accompany him there. Shen Yu shakes his head and raises the Emperor's pendant. This prompts the guard to acquiesce to Shen Yu's order and excuses himself from the cell. The chains rattle on the ground as Jun Suanxiao made himself comfortable. He sees the pendant on Shen Yu's hand and asks Shen Yu if he stole the pendant for him. Shen Yu did steal the pendant. He waited until Xiao Xia drank himself unconscious and stealthily took the pendant from the Emperor's belt. Shen Yu explains that he took the pendant for personal reasons. Jun Suanxiao tells Shen Yu that now that he has vented all his anger, it is about time that he returns to Jun Suanxiao's side. He promises to let it all go and shower Shen Yu with affection like he did before. Shen Yu reminds him that they are already even. He had settled his score with Jun Suanxiao when he left his mansion. There is nothing left between them. He simply went there to find out where his mother is. This irked Jun Suanxiao. Seeing the calm Shen Yu facing off with him, Jun Suanxiao realizes that the meek Shen Yu is gone. He is no longer Jun Suanxiao's mute slave. Jun Suanxiao reminds Shen Yu that it was he who left. Shen Yu realizes that the commander views Shen Yu's leaving as a betrayal. He wonders if he should feel sorry, but he halts the thought. He kneels and places a basket on the ground. Out of irritation and contempt, Shen Yu tells the commander that since he is being branded as a cheater, what makes the commander think that Shen Yu would come back for him and be his slave again? Jun Suanxiao was so surprised that he was left speechless. He's a doofus. The thought of Shen Yu not coming back to him did not even cross his mind. Jun Suanxiao asks Shen Yu if he can honestly say that he was never happy with Jun Suanxiao. With conviction, Shen Yu stands up and tells Jun Suanxiao that no one wants to be a slave. Shen Yu looks away as he explains that even the Emperor understands how Shen Yu feels about being a slave, is why Xiao Xia allows Shen Yu to wander around the palace. Jun Suanxiao notices that this is the first time Shen Yu has mentioned Xiao Xia, and he does not like it. Even without hearing his voice, Jun Suanxiao can feel that Shen Yu is satisfied with his life in the palace. Shen Yu can't help but compare how the Emperor and the commander treat him differently. Xiao Xia allowed him freedom, but Jun Suanxiao only locked him up. Affronted by Shen Yu's accusation, Jun Su-on-shou asks if Shen Yu likes the freedom he was given or the power that the emperor possesses. Shen Yu thinks hard about it and finally admits that he likes both. Jun Su-on-shou is left speechless for a while. He asks Shen Yu if he will change his mind if Jun Su-on-shou promises to give him freedom, riches, and political power. He also adds that he will never hide him away again. If all these were given to Shen Yu, would he consider coming back? Shen Yu's silence already speaks volumes of what Shen Yu thought of it, which irritated Jun Su-on-shou. The commander stands up to tower over Shen Yu. To Shen Yu's surprise, the commander comes close and grabs his arm. Jun Su-on-shou demands an answer from Shen Yu. He insists that even if Shen Yu loves the emperor, Shen Yu loves him more and that Shen Yu's eyes do not lie. Shen Yu raises his hand and steps back to distance himself. He gestures that whoever he loves does not matter. For Jun Su-on-shou's words and promises are meaningless to Shen Yu. The commander's anger boils over, and his chest tightens at Shen Yu's rejection. He stumbles until his back is against the dungeon wall. Jun Su-on-shou asks what Shen Yu came there for and if he is so heartless that he can't let Jun Su-on-shou go. Shen Yu opens the basket he brought with him and pulls out a bowl of congee. He tells Jun Su-on-shou to not delude himself. He only worries that the commander might die before telling him where his mother is. Shen Yu tells him that he can only bring his leftovers and that the commander should eat them. Shen Yu knows that the commander is a prideful person and will lash out at the humiliation of eating someone's leftovers. Shen Yu attempts to insult him so that the commander will reveal where his mother is. To Shen Yu's surprise, the commander does the opposite. He laughs aloud as he tells Shen Yu that he does not mind Shen Yu's leftovers. Such a proclamation made Shen Yu blush. Panicked, he shoves the bowl of porridge to Jun Su-on-shou and guides the bowl to Jun Su-on-shou's mouth. Shen Yu can't make sense of Jun Su-on-shou. The man is unpredictable. His mind tries to figure out what the commander wants with him. Jun Su-on-shou treats him like a pet, flusters him to get a reaction for fun, and then discards him. With Jun Su-on-shou's voracious appetite, he is able to finish the bowl in a few sips. He teases Shen Yu for shoving the bowl into his mouth, saying that he must want him to choke to death. Shen Yu places the bowl back in the basket as he watches the commander warily. He throws an accusatory glance at the commander and asks how he could tease and fluster Shen Yu in his wounded and scarred state. The commander angrily looks at Shen Yu. At the sound of the chains, Shen Yu is alerted by the commander's sudden movement but is rendered helpless when the commander pushes him down. Caging Shen Yu with both arms, he leans down, ordering him not to leave. The commander calls him by his nickname like he used to. Their position and Jun Su-on-shou's gall both shock and anger Shen Yu. The humiliation made him lose his grasp of the situation. Shen Yu struggles as he begs to be freed. He pushes hard at the commander's chest, only for the commander's hand to wrap around Shen Yu's dainty wrist. Shen Yu recognizes the look Jun Su-on-shou is giving him. In an attempt to preserve his modesty, Shen Yu bent his knee to hit the commander in the groin. That's gonna hurt, and you deserve it too. Shen Yu takes advantage of the sudden reprieve as Jun Su-on-shou doubles over in pain due to his poor birdie. Shen Yu scrambles to get out of the cell, but his attempt is halted by a hand holding tightly to his arm. Shen Yu fearfully tries to get away, not wanting a repeat of the cruel things that Jun Su-on-shou did to him in the past. Yet again, Shen Yu is surprised when Jun Su-on-shou hugs him tenderly. The commander runs his hand through Shen Yu's hair soothingly, begging him not to go. This gentle side of the commander makes Shen Yu blush harder as his heart beats faster. It's the kind of gesture that makes the knees weak. Shen Yu is confused. His heart continues to beat erratically, and his mind is a mess. He asks why Jun Su-on-shou treats him like a puppet. Shen Yu brings his face closer to Jun Su-on-shou's neck. He can't help himself as he bites down until his teeth sink so deep that they leave marks. As he bites, Shen Yu can only ask himself why Jun Su-on-shou is being so cruel. This man can stir him up, toy with him, and then discard him like nothing happened. Shen Yu no longer cares as he ridicules himself for being so weak. He looks at the mark he left Jun Su-on-shou as red trickled down from the bite. Jun Su-on-shou calls his name and grabs his wrist. Jun Su-on-shou cages Shen Yu in his arms, commenting on how strong the bite is and asks him where he learned it. He only wanted a hug, but the bite made him eager. Shen Yu shouldn't have done that. Shen Yu is shocked as he finds himself in the same intimate position he just escaped from. Jun Su-on-shou towers over him, holding his wrists up with one strong hand. His struggles are futile. The commander touches his face. He tells Shen Yu that he wants him and for Shen Yu to give in. Shen Yu finally realizes that Jun Xuanxiao took the bite as an invitation. The commander whispers in Shen Yu's ears to stop playing hard to get and to stop struggling as it will only hurt him. Shen Yu smiles bitterly, knowing he can't escape this time. He blames himself as he realizes that he should not have come. As the commander had his way, Shen Yu cried deep down as he endured the humiliation. After some time, Shen Yu shivers in fear as he endures. The commander holds his shivering hand and tenderly calls his name. He asks if Shen Yu ever allowed the emperor to touch him like this. Shen Yu asks him if it matters when it is his own business and not the commander's. The commander looks at Shen Yu meaningfully. Shen Yu covers his shame by telling the commander that he only sees him as a toy. Another few moments passed when Shen Yu finally got up while the commander sat on the floor, completely satisfied. The commander asks Shen Yu why he would take the lead. Shen Yu simply threw his clothes at him. Highly insulted, Jun Xuanxiao asks if he is being regarded as a whore. Shen Yu says that as a prisoner, Jun Xuanxiao has no say in the matter. Shen Yu mocks the proud commander by claiming his satisfaction with the service, but seeing as they're in prison, he forgot to bring money. How the tables have turned. But Shen Yu, really, don't dine and dash next time. Jun Xuanxiao angrily grabs Shen Yu. He has never been insulted in his life. Taking pity on Shen Yu, he lets him go and warns Shen Yu not to provoke him like that again. Shen Yu sarcastically thanks him for showing mercy. Shen Yu insists on putting up the act. Although he does not have money, he can pay in kind. Shen Yu throws him a gray jar and staggers to leave the cell. Jun Xuanxiao stares at the little pot in his hand as he realizes what is in it. The jar contains an ointment. Surprised at the gift, Jun Xuanxiao watches Shen Yu leave the cell unsteadily. A sudden commotion is heard in the dungeons. The guard who assisted Shen Yu runs toward him, pleading for help as two masked men follow at his heels. Shen Yu's face pales as he watches the guard fall before him. The bodies of the dead guards litter the cold ground, and Shen Yu is so shocked that he cannot move. From behind him, a hand reaches for his shoulder to steady him. Jun Xuanxiao gently tells Shen Yu to not be afraid. This startles Shen Yu, as his mind finally understands what is happening. Guards who are supposed to serve the emperor bowed reverently to Jun Xuanxiao. The respect shocked Shen Yu, and he asked if the commander bribed the guards or if he planned to break out all along. Jun Xuanxiao reaches out to Shen Yu's chin to turn his face towards him. He tells Shen Yu that these are his men. He planted them in the palace. Otherwise, he would not let himself be captured and thrown into the dungeon. Only then did Shen Yu realize Jun Xuanxiao's influence had already infiltrated the palace long ago. Even his capture was only for the emperor to let his guard down. Shen Yu felt like a fool. He praises the commander for the impressive tactic and tells the commander that he known his escape plan. He would not have bothered to see him. Shen Yu then asks the commander what he plans to do to him. The commander planned to put Xiao Xiya at ease with his staged capture and allow his army to cross the river secretly. He holds the jar of ointment in his hand and rolls it between his fingers. Looking at Shen Yu, a new idea sparks in his mind. He places both hands on Shen Yu's shoulders and corners him against the dungeon wall. Jun Xuanxiao tells Shen Yu that even when he tries to humiliate him, he can tell that Shen Yu still cares for him, so he won't punish Shen Yu for it. Shen Yu looks at the jar of ointment in Jun Xuanxiao's hand, his face unreadable. Jun Xuanxiao calls him sweetly by his name and asks Shen Yu to come with him. Shen Yu asks him what he meant when the commander did not even stop him from leaving the mansion back then. Yet now he insists on taking him back. The commander levels him with a stare and tells him that he can give Shen Yu whatever his heart desires. His words make Shen Yu hesitate. After all the pain that Jun Xuanxiao inflicted on him, he cannot trust him again. He thinks that there must be something else that Jun Xuanxiao wants. Shen Yu avoids Jun Xuanxiao's eyes. The commander waits for his reply, and when none comes, he asks Shen Yu why and if he has developed feelings for the emperor. One of Jun Xuanxiao's men interrupts their sweet time, telling their commander that dawn is approaching and they must leave immediately. Jun Xuanxiao turns his back on Shen Yu and accepts the fact that Shen Yu does not wish to come with him. He leaves swiftly, successfully escaping before dawn breaks. The next day, in the imperial chambers, a commotion was heard. The eunuchs frantically call for the emperor to report that something had gone wrong. Xiao Xiya wakes up with a hangover and asks them about the commotion. He also does not remember coming to his chambers. A eunuch reports that Shen Yu ordered the servants to take the emperor back to his chambers and went to the dungeons. All the guards were found dead in the morning, and the commander of the north escaped. All this is not going to look good for Shen Yu. The news shocks Xiao Xia. He looks down his belt and realizes his jade pendant is missing. In his anger, he figures that there can only be one explanation for how it happened. Shen Yu stole his pendant to go to the dungeon. He orders the eunuch to take him to Kailan Pavilion to confront Shen Yu. Shen Yu was calmly reading in his chambers when the emperor hastily barged in, screaming his name. The angered emperor slams his palms down on the table while he asks Shen Yu if he released Jun Su on Xiao. Shen Yu calmly takes out the emperor's jade pendant from his sleeves and presents it to the emperor. The emperor takes Shen Yu's meekness as admission to his crimes. The emperor grabs the book that Shen Yu was reading, rolls it in his hand, and aims to throw it at Shen Yu. He asks Shen Yu why he would help Jun Su on Xiao, causing trouble for the emperor. Shen Yu thinks that even if he did not release Jun Su on Xiao, explaining would be pointless as the emperor would not believe him anyway. Xiao Xia takes pity on Shen Yu's frightened appearance and throws the rolled-up book. The book clatters as Xiao Xia holds both Shen Yu's hands. Shen Yu is surprised that Xiao Xia did not hit him and wonders what made him stop. Xiao Xia bitterly tells Shen Yu that all their efforts were wasted and asks Shen Yu if he wants to see his mother. He asks Shen Yu's real feelings, wanting to learn what led to his betrayal. Shen Yu cannot answer his questions and simply looks down to avoid the emperor's gaze. Xiao Xia punches his fist on the table and asks what he did wrong. He did everything to give Shen Yu what he wanted, yet Shen Yu chose to betray his trust. He asks Shen Yu what is so great about Jun Su on Xiao that Shen Yu cannot get over him. Xia confesses that he knew Shen Yu intended to visit Jun Su on Xiao despite his promises. Hence, the emperor got himself intentionally drunk. What he did not expect is for Shen Yu to release Jun Su on Xiao. Shen Yu is stunned by the emperor's confession. In despair, the emperor tells Shen Yu that he can only find peace when he is with Shen Yu, but Shen Yu chooses to betray him. He kept on asking why Shen Yu did what he did. Shen Yu was torn between feeling pity and contempt for Xiao Xia. He heard the emperor's conversation with Jun Su on Xiao while hiding next to the commander's cell. He would have pitied the emperor had he not known that the emperor orchestrated the raid of Qin Huai Tower and burned it to the ground. Shen Yu is aware of the real reason for the emperor's kindness as he glances at the books that Xiao Xia had him study. They were books on the biography of Junshan Mausoleum and Yunmeng Lake. Shen Yu is convinced that the emperor has an ulterior motive. He taps Xiao Xia's shoulder, halting his drama. Shen Yu tells him that he can give the emperor what he wants. In exchange, Shen Yu desires what any slave wants: freedom. The emperor stands abruptly, not believing what Shen Yu is asking him. Xiao Xia admits that he wanted something from Shen Yu, so he did everything to get closer to him, even having him kidnapped from Qin Huai Tower. But his motives have changed. He grabs Shen Yu as he confesses his love for him, claiming that it is only Shen Yu that the emperor wants. Xiao Xia's confession makes Shen Yu uncomfortable, so he looks away, not meeting his eyes. The emperor is visibly upset at Shen Yu's reaction. He acknowledges the fact that Shen Yu still likes Jun Su on Xiao even when the emperor treated him better. The emperor steps back as he states that even now, Shen Yu is making up excuses so that he can leave. Shen Yu gestures that he is no longer partial to Jun Su on Xiao. However, he is not sure of what the emperor is scheming. Shen Yu knows that he is nothing more than a pawn to the emperor, and he no longer wants to be used. Shen Yu picks up the biography of Junshan Mausoleum from the stack of books and shows it to the emperor. He tells him the location of the Junshan Mausoleum is at the bottom of Yunmeng Lake. This draws the emperor's interest, and he asks Shen Yu how he figured it out. Shen Yu takes a brush and shows the emperor a map of Yunmeng. The books the emperor gave him address the Chu clan residing around Yunmeng Lake as mausoleum guards. The only royal mausoleum built near Yunmeng Lake is Junshan, which was built by the previous dynasty. It was built in a flood-prone area, changing the topography after several decades. This information matches Shen Yu's knowledge of Yunmeng. He remembers his mother telling him they left Yunmeng due to the floods in her hometown, making their family move to the north. Shen Yu glances at Xiao Xia and sees the emperor's ecstatic face. Just, wow. He claims to be in love yet quickly changes due to greed. Shen Yu continues, telling the emperor that Junshan Mausoleum was originally at the foot of Mount Jun. However, due to flooding, a lake formed in the very place the mausoleum stood. Excitedly, the emperor praises Shen Yu for finding such a valuable clue. The emperor's ancestors have long dreamed of finding the mausoleum, and the emperor will finally realize it. In his delight, he hugs Shen Yu and insists on calling him his mascot. So all is forgiven now. He praises Shen Yu for a well-done job and promises to reward him. He then coaxes Shen Yu to tell him what he wants. Shen Yu pushes the emperor away from him and signs that he only wants his freedom. Xiao Xie's smile freezes as he processes what Shen Yu asked of him. Shen Yu looks him straight in the eyes to convey how serious he is. A shadow casts over the emperor's eyes as he considers Shen Yu's request. After a while, he finally concedes. As the emperor, he must uphold his promises. He promises Shen Yu that his freedom will be granted after the war. He tells Shen Yu that he cannot allow him to leave during chaotic times and reasons that it will be more difficult to find his mom on his own. Shen Yu becomes uneasy at the thought of his mother. Xiao Xi valiantly tells Shen Yu that he intends to keep his promise of finding his mother for him and asks Shen Yu for his patience. Shen Yu looks up to the emperor as he weighs his options. For the sake of his mom, his freedom has to wait. In the next 2 weeks, the emperor sent his people to Yunmeng Lake, where they discovered the Junshan mausoleum at the bottom of the lake. However, they are unable to enter it due to where it is located. The emperor ordered that the lake be filled until the water was drained. However, this process will take a long time and disasters always appear with a twin. Jun Xuanxiu's recent stunt of pretending to be imprisoned allowed the North Army more time to covertly cross the Yellow River and reach the Central Plains. It was already too late when the emperor finally learned of the situation, as Jun Xuanxiu, who escaped with the help of spies, joined the North Army and led them to Juyan Pass. They will only be 50 kilometers from the capital once the army breaches Juyan Pass. From there, they could head straight to the Imperial Palace in less than 7 days. During such dire circumstances, fear-mongering and rumors spread throughout the royal palace. It is rumored that Emperor Yi and the commander, who used to be sworn brothers, are now turning against each other due to a siren-like man. The imperial astronomer observes that the evil North Star is shining so brightly that it eclipsed the polar King Star. This can only be a bad omen, and only one person can be blamed. Everyone points their fingers at Shen Yu. Wow, that was quite the fast forward. Shen Yu kneels before the emperor as he begs to be let go. He reasons that the rumors will die if he leaves, and the emperor can focus on what matters. The emperor angrily chastises Shen Yu and objects to all the rumors about him. A sudden commotion is heard as one of the eunuchs prevents a woman from entering the chambers. She carries in her arms a bundle wrapped in cloth. The woman barges in, cursing at the eunuch, and threatens to harm the siren-like man who took her son's life. What? Your claims are unfounded, lady. The emperor rounds on the woman and scolds her for coming there. He also chastises the woman, saying that she should be at the temple praying for the well-being of their country. The woman, Empress Jiang, is desperate to be heard. She blurted out that their son, Yu, had passed. The news stuns the emperor. The empress explains that the imperial astronomer told her that this happened because their son shared the same name with the siren-like man and claims that it is Shen Yu's fault that their son died. Ever since Shen Yu came to the palace, their son's health diminished and he would often cough blood. That poor baby. But still, you shouldn't just blame Shen Yu. The empress accuses the emperor of never showing interest in their son's well-being and for always shunning her. She insists that Shen Yu is to be blamed not only for her son's death, but also for the war between the emperor and the commander. The emperor stops her from attacking Shen Yu and tells her not to put all the blame on Shen Yu. Although the emperor valiantly defends Shen Yu, he is also doubtful as the coincidence is uncanny. Another woman speaks up to tell the emperor that he's wrong. She explains that she just returned from the temple to get rid of the evil star. Shen Yu can't help but find the voice familiar. He raises his head and finds that the woman is none other than Magistrate Shen's daughter, the real Shen Yu. She now goes by the name Shen Ruofei. The mute Shen Yu gets a bad feeling as they share a look. Shen Ruofei tells the emperor that she dreamt of Budo while praying and was warned that the descending evil star would cause a great disaster. This woman is talking crazy. What is she going to predict next? The apocalypse? Xiao Xi asks her what she meant. With conviction, she relays that after waking up, she also learned from the imperial astronomer that the polar King Star is being overshadowed by the evil North Star. She concludes that her dream and the astronomer's observation point to the same thing. As they talk, the empress weeps in the background as she cradles her dead son. Shen Ruofei insists that the death of Prince Yu is proof that the prophecy has come true, and all these cannot be a mere coincidence. They both zoom in on Shen Yu as Shen Ruofei tells the emperor that if they do not get rid of the evil siren, Dajing will suffer. Wow, she's obviously plotting. This alarms Xiao Xi. He clenches his fists as he challenges Shen Ruofei's predictions. He asks her that if the evil star is the root of all the disaster, then how can they avoid the fall of Da Jing? Shen Ruofei, with all the conviction she could muster, tells him what the imperial astronomer recommended. The best and most efficient way is to look for and kill the descending evil star. Xiaoxiya cannot believe his ears and pushes Shen Ruofei away. The empress is disheartened that the emperor still sides with Shen Yu. The stress and heartbreak cause her to pass out in rage. Can't really blame her. With her son dead and an indifferent father, the empress grasps at straws. The emperor levels Shen Ruofei with a glare as he accuses her of treating him like a moron. He sees through Shen Ruofei's evil plan to have Shen Yu killed. She insists that she only wants the best for their country. Xiaoxiya reveals that he has already spoken to the imperial astronomer and was given an alternative solution. Instead of killing the descending evil star, they can suppress him in a pagoda. However, Shen Ruofei only gave the option that would result in Shen Yu's death. Knowing she had been seen through, Shen Ruofei insists that she only did it for the emperor. You can't really trick the emperor. He's more devious than his conniving dead sister, after all. Xiaoxiya turns his back on Rufi and the empress, his mind made up. He calls for the guards to take the empress away and bury his son, Prince Yu. He orders them to arrange a mourning hall and asks to have the monks pray for his soul. Only then did Shen Ruofei realize how much Xiaoxiya favors Shen Yu. She never expected that the emperor would defend him profusely. She even bribed the servants to slowly poison Prince Yu so that when he dies, the empress will implicate Shen Yu, not only the servants, but she also bribed the imperial astronomer with 30,000 tells. This woman will give the princess consort a run for her money. They could have been besties if they don't kill each other first. She needs to find a way to remove Shen Yu from the picture immediately. Otherwise, when the emperor gives Shen Yu the title of a concubine, Rufi will find it harder to get promoted and maybe even be killed by Shen Yu. Our Shen Yu's nothing like you. He doesn't even want to be anyone's concubine. Once everyone left the chambers, Shen Yu, who sat meekly all this time, asked Xiaoxi, what would happen to him. The emperor tells Shen Yu that he does not believe the rumors. Shen Yu gestures that the mausoleum has been found and cannot help with the revolt, so there is no reason to keep him there. Shen Yu offers any assistance he can give as long as he gets his freedom. Xiaoxiya tells Shen Yu, determinedly, that it is him that he only wants. That is so hard to believe. Your greed is blatant. Shen Yu does not reply and instead looks down. Xiaoxiya is finally getting tired of Shen Yu's reaction. He tells Shen Yu that it would be best if he relocates him. In a few days, he will take Shen Yu out of Qilin Pavilion. As he turns, Xiaoxiya tells Shen Yu that he is relocating him not because of the imperial astronomer's suggestion. It is because Shen Yu has already read all the books in the pavilion, making the place inconvenient for Shen Yu to live in. Yeah, right? Filled with dread, Shen Yu watches the emperor leave. For Shen Yu, every place is like hell. In a span of 10 days, the emperor had his people build a 7-floor pagoda to house Shen Yu. So he did believe the rumors. That's no surprise. The people of the capital believe their fortune will improve if the descending evil star is suppressed in the pagoda. But their hopes are dashed, as on the same day that Shen Yu moves to the pagoda, the North Army breaches their walls and raids the royal palace. The battle cries of war-hardened soldiers ring in the air as civilians scramble to escape. Meanwhile, Shen Yu watches the night sky from the balcony of his pagoda. He hears the servants as they rush to get out of the palace. One announces that they must hurry as the North Army is upon them. Another says they can forget their belongings and save their lives first, while another person curses the nobles for leaving them behind to await their doom. Shen Yu decides to leave the palace as well. Now that the North Army has broken in, Shen Yu must take this opportunity to escape. With blood-drenched boots and clothes, Jun Suansho steps inside the palace grounds, followed by Song Qing. The commander of the North reins in his course and orders Song Qing to bring Shen Yu to him, explicitly adding that Shen Yu should not be harmed. Song Qing quickly leaves to do his bidding, while Jun Suansho faces the Jin Luan Palace, intending to claim what belonged to him. The clatter of boots on marble floors alerts a tired Xiaoxiya to Jun Suansho's arrival. Xiaoxiya addresses his once sword brother, now mortal enemy. He admits to being overconfident, as he never thought he would lose to Jun Suansho. Xiaoxiya can't believe he lost despite having 200,000 soldiers. Jun Suansho climbs the stairs to the throne, clearly unimpressed. He criticizes Xiaoxiya for limiting his sights within his walls but allowing barbarians to encroach on the borders. Jun Su Anxiao compares himself, telling how he was hardened by the harsh conditions of the barren north. With a clang, the commander draws his sword and holds it against the emperor's neck. Instead of showing fear, Xiao Xiya provokes Jun Su Anxiao for his impatience to sit on the throne after his long-awaited victory. Jun Su Anxiao claims that Dajing is but a small country unworthy of waging war over. He announces that he simply reclaimed all the previous territories belonging to Dajing. Jun Su Anxiao suddenly changes the topic and asks Xiao Xiya where he hid Shen Yu's mother. I don't know if it was more despicable, the emperor who did wrong and lied about it, or the commander who was aware of what was happening yet never chose to reveal the truth. Xiao Xiya sneers at Jun Su Anxiao, believing they both have the same motive. The commander had known all along that Xiao Xiya had kidnapped Shen Yu's mom. This makes Xiao Xiya think that the commander simply wants to leave where Xiao Xiya left off and make use of Shen Yu's mom as a hostage to reveal the whereabouts of the Junshan mausoleum. With a poker face in place, the commander denies it. Xiao Xiya does not believe him. If not for the Junshan mausoleum, why would Jun Su Anxiao treat Shen Yu horribly, forcing him to leave? Xiao Xiya found it suspicious that he was able to get his hands on Shen Yu easily because of this. The commander knew that Xiao Xiya would figure out Shen Yu's identity when he fell off the cliff, so he abused Shen Yu so that Shen Yu would tell him about his secrets in exchange for Jun Su Anxiao's love. Xiao Xiya concludes that it was unexpected that Shen Yu knew nothing. Xiao Xiya claims that Jun Su Anxiao was also aware that there are spies in his mansion and that Xiao Xiya hid the records of the Junshan mausoleum. In retaliation, Jun Su Anxiao plotted against him by forcing Shen Yu to leave so that the emperor could steal him away and they could figure out the mausoleum's location for Jun Su Anxiao. Once the commander takes over the throne, he can open the mausoleum and take all the hidden treasures. Xiao Xiya mocks how Jun Su Anxiao is no different from him. Finally, fed up with the emperor, Jun Su Anxiao presses his sword against Xiao Xiya's skin as a warning. Red oozed as the emperor staggers to his knees, holding his wound. Xiao Xiya wants Jun Su Anxiao to admit that they are the same. He revels in the fact that Shen Yu hates Jun Su Anxiao now. Shen Yu had the bad luck to be surrounded by such despicable men. Shen Yu carries his meager belongings in a bundle as he passes through Jinluan Palace while trying to escape. He hears Xiao Xiya's contemptuous voice and intends to avoid the emperor to successfully run away. As Shen Yu is about to distance himself from the palace, he hears a voice demanding to know where Shen Yu's mother is. It's a voice he can recognize anywhere, and it belongs to Jun Su Anxiao. Shen Yu discards his plan to escape as he peeks in from the entrance of the Jinluan Palace. He wonders why Jun Su Anxiao would ask Xiao Xiya about his mother. Shen Yu sees Xiao Xiya being held down by Jun Su Anxiao as the commander demands more information from Emperor Ye. As the emperor's eyes averts from Jun Su Anxiao, he sees Shen Yu standing by the large doors. Emperor Ye smiles scornfully at Jun Su Anxiao. At first, he has no intention of ever telling anyone where Shen Yu's mother is, but the sight of Shen Yu changes his mind. He tells Jun Su Anxiao that Shen Yu's mother is imprisoned in the Dali court. That's just so cruel. Shaken at hearing that his mother is imprisoned, Shen Yu forgets to act discreetly and quickly runs toward the Dali court. To think that she has been near Shen Yu all this time. Jun Su Anxiao hears the hurried steps while Xiao Xiya teases Jun Su Anxiao by hinting that Shen Yu must be outside, listening in on their conversation. He delights at the thought of Shen Yu seeing through Jun Su Anxiao's plans and hating him. Jun Su Anxiao pushes Xiao Xiya down. The emperor cowered in fear while waiting for the strike to land, but none came. Jun Su Anxiao turns his back on his once friend. Xiao Xiya sneers, knowing that he can never have Shen Yu. He settles with wanting to see how much Shen Yu will hate Jun Su Anxiao when Shen Yu's mom dies because of the commander. Jun Su Anxiao ignores the taunts and quickly leaves the imperial hall to see if someone's outside. He calms himself down by thinking that Shen Yu did not hear them since he should be at the pagoda. Song Qing calls out to him, drawing his attention. His loyal vassal hurriedly tells him that the concubine Yin was not at the pagoda. Jun Su Anxiao gritted his teeth. He quickly moves to action and orders Song Qing to imprison Xiao Xiya. Jun Su Anxiao will convict him at a later time. Jun Su Anxiao rushes in the direction of the Dali court. In the dark prison guards indiscriminately swing their swords, sparing no prisoners from death. They were given strict orders by the emperor to kill all prisoners. Otherwise, the prisoners may escape. Oh, Xiao Xiya made sure to clean up after himself by killing all the prisoners, including Shen Yu's mom. The prison guard cannot take a step further in the prison as he meets a tragic end at the hands of Jun Xuan Xiao. He had come to find Shen Yu. The Dali Court is the largest prison in the capital. It is where the most heinous criminals are imprisoned. Jun Xuan Xiao has never met Shen Yu's mom, so he can only check each prisoner one at a time. Unfortunately, half of the prisoners are already lying on the ground, dead. Jun Xuan Xiao feels unsettled. As he makes his way deeper into the gallows, he considers that Shen Yu's mom must have fallen victim to the prison guards. Movement alerts him that another person is in a cell. It is Shen Yu staring in shock at the beaten body of a woman. Cold sweat runs down Jun Xuan Xiao's face as dread sinks to the pit of his stomach. Shen Yu finally finds his mother in a prison, where Jun Xuan Xiao stands holding a sword. Quite the uncanny timing. Shen Yu rushes toward the body of the woman. He pushes Jun Xuan Xiao away from his mother and swoops down to hug her. Shen Yu is so in shock that he has yet to register that the woman is but a corpse. He calls for his mother, urging her to look at him. Shen Yu wants her to see the bundle he brought with him. It is filled with all the towels he saved. He reminds her of their promise to return to Yunmeng when Shen Yu is fully grown and has saved enough money. This way, they never have to work for anyone, and they will even have their own home. Shen Yu thinks of how he could work in a restaurant and support his mom. He passes a tale to his mother's slumped hand. He wants his mother to take the money he works so hard for, but the towel falls from his mother's limp hand. Shen Yu's mind is broken with grief. He kept on saying that he had come back for her. He wants to ask her why didn't she wait for him. But alas, no matter how much Shen Yu cries, his mother will never kiss or hug him again. No one will pat his head or welcome him home. No one will take him to Yunmeng, as she promised. Rest in peace, Shen Yu's mom. Jun Xuan Xiao watches Shen Yu as he pitifully cries for his mother. He reaches out his hand to comfort Shen Yu. He apologizes for being too late to save her. Shen Yu slaps his hand away. For the first time, Jun Xuan Xiao felt nervous around Shen Yu. In an attempt to win Shen Yu over, he offers to arrange a burial for her so her soul can rest in peace. Shen Yu just kept on weeping. He asked Jun Xuan Xiao why the commander never told him that the emperor kidnapped his mother. Shen Yu is furious and sheds tears. He could have saved her if he knew she was at the Dalit court. Jun Xuan Xiao kept it all a secret to enact his plan. Shen Yu gestures with as much conviction as he can muster in his anger. He hates Jun Xuan Xiao and Xiao Xiya for what they've done. The commander of the North felt the bitter taste of being hated by someone he loves for the first time. As a proud commander of the North, and now the conqueror of Dajing, Jun Xuan Xiao does not want Shen Yu to hate him. Yet, he believes he didn't do anything wrong. However, a voice in the pits of his conscience tells him that he is wrong and is the cause of Shen Yu's suffering. Yeah, you knew every bad thing that might happen, yet you let it happen. Shen Yu staggers to lift his mom up. He places her limp form on his back. With shaky steps, Shen Yu carries his mom. Worried at the sight, Jun Xuan Xiao steps closer to help, only for Shen Yu to bite his hand like a cornered animal. Shen Yu tells Jun Xuan Xiao to leave him alone and to stay away from his mother. Jun Xuan Xiao tries to pacify Shen Yu until the other relaxes his jaw and releases his hand. The commander steps back as he watches Shen Yu walk away from him. Shen Yu carries his mom out of the cell. He talks to her in his mind, saying they can finally go wherever they want. They can go to the North City or Yunmeng, and no one can hurt them again. With tears streaming down his face, he promises to take her home. Shen Yu's weak constitution, combined with the shock he felt at seeing his mom's lifeless body, led him to fall to the cold ground. When Shen Yu collapsed on the floor, Jun Xuan Xiao quickly ran to his aid. The commander of the North's heart breaks at the pitiful sight of his beloved concubine. It may not be him who killed Shen Yu's mom, but he still played a significant role in her suffering and untimely death. He fists his hand and punches the hard ground. At that moment, a fleeting thought comes to mind. If only he had not pushed through with his plan, Shen Yu would not hate him this much. Jun Xuan Xiao lifts Shen Yu up and carries him carefully in his arms. For the first time in his life, the proud commander of the North asks himself if he is in the wrong. It is dark, cold, and painful. So much pain. Shen Yu kneels down as chains hold him up. He wonders why his body hurts so much. From the darkness, a woman's soft voice calls out to him. She offers him her help. Her gentle voice is so sweet and soothing. The pain disappears as she asks if he feels better. This woman can only be his mother. Shen Yu tried to reach her, but the chains kept holding him back. Shen Yu struggles, begging her not to leave him as she fades away into the dark. Shen Yu wakes up with a start and squeezes the hand holding him. The commander of the North watches him in his sleep and quickly asks how he feels as soon as he wakes up. Like a crashing tidal wave, the memories of what transpired crash down on Shen Yu. He feels so sick that he wrenches his hand away from Jun Suangxiao. Shen Yu signs aggressively to ask where his mother is. Despite his frustration at being rejected by Shen Yu, Jun Suangxiao calmly answers that he ordered to have her body buried near the loyal mausoleum. Shakily, Shen Yu sits up. Jun Suangxiao asks him to lie back down and promises to accompany him to his mother's grave once Shen Yu feels better. Shen Yu reels back from the commander's touch in disgust. Jun Suangxiao is speechless and hurt by Shen Yu's rejection. Shen Yu thanks him for his concern but refuses to believe Jun Suangxiao. He believes the commander is only kind because he wants something from him. Jun Suangxiao stands up abruptly as he glowers at Shen Yu. He angrily claims he is doing all this because he cares for him. He then reprimands Shen Yu for thinking that he has ulterior motives. Based on your track record, no one in Shen Yu's position will trust you at all. Shen Yu looks him in the eye and sneers. He signs that he dares not and instead asks Jun Suangxiao if he is doing this out of guilt or to beg for forgiveness. Jun Suangxiao stoops down and answers that he wants neither. Shen Yu is not surprised. After everything that Jun Suangxiao did, he could only surmise that Jun Suangxiao would have saved his mother and used her to blackmail him. Jun Suangxiao did all these evil things just to get his hands on the treasures of the Junshan mausoleum. Jun Suangxiao is shocked and asks Shen Yu if he was listening when he confronted the emperor at the Junlin Palace. Shen Yu does not answer, which makes Jun Suangxiao nervous. He asks Shen Yu how much he has heard. In his agitation, Jun Suangxiao walks back and forth in front of Shen Yu. He asks Shen Yu if he believes that Jun Suangxiao's kindness towards him is merely a pretend play intended solely to exploit him. Jun Suangxiao covers his face with his hand as he admits that he planned things out to achieve his goals. Finally facing Shen Yu and looking at him directly, Jun Suangxiao admits that even if Shen Yu is not a descendant of the Chu clan, he would still fall in love with him. Shen Yu's heart had already turned to stone, and he gestures how no sweet talk will improve things. The commander rounds on Shen Yu and holds his face with both hands. He desperately tells Shen Yu that he knows that he shouldn't have mistreated him and begs profusely for his forgiveness, promising to make it up to Shen Yu. Finally, he implores Shen Yu if he still loves him. Shen Yu is stunned. As the ray of light diminishes from the dark room, so does his love for him. Shen Yu reaches up to touch the hand, caressing his face and pushes it aside. He lifts his face and looks at Jun Suangxiao as he tells him, "You disgust me." Ouch. That's gotta burn. The commander of the North takes a staggering step back. He is stunned into silence. It's as if he was doused by a cascade of cold, iced water. In the face of Shen Yu's apathy, the proud commander felt angry and agitated. All the bad feelings he held in while imprisoned. He even felt fear and an overwhelming sense of anxiety. Jun Suangxiao challenges Shen Yu's words and grabs his arms. He angrily asks Shen Yu how he could consider him disgusting when he, Jun Suangxiao, has already laid out his heart to him and even promised to make it up to him. He asks if Shen Yu does not believe that his love is real. Shen Yu explains that if it were the old him, he would have believed Jun Suangxiao in a heartbeat, even if he was lying. But Shen Yu, in the present, will never believe him. Flustered at Shen Yu's answer, Jun Suangxiao clenches his teeth. No one has ever defied the commander of the North. In his anger, he pushes Shen Yu down. The commander laughs bitterly and asks Shen Yu how he should treat him from now on. Shen Yu only looks at him defiantly and turns away with a scornful smile. Yep, that's what you get for all that stuff you did. Jun Suangxiao looms over the silent concubine as he intimidates him further. He grabs Shen Yu's robes and pins him down. He threatens to keep Shen Yu with him. Make him his slave like he did before. Make him wait for him and serve him. Shen Yu remains unresponsive to his threats, which scares Jun Suangxiao. He is undoubtedly losing his grip on Shen Yu. Shen Yu asks him if this is what he calls love. Jun Suangxiao is rendered speechless. He gets up from the bed, and Shen Yu nonchalantly asks why he stopped. Jun Suangxiao gives the excuse that he is worried that Shen Yu might die if he continues and adds that not even death can take Shen Yu away from him. Shen Yu sarcastically asks if he does not want him to die as he still needs to learn the secrets of the Junshan mausoleum. Jun Su Anxiao tidies himself while Shen Yu's body is suddenly racked by severe coughs. He wonders if his viscera is burned, is momentarily shocked when he sees his palm and shakily wipes it on the fabric of his robe. He suspects that the poison of goo has recurred. Shen Yu breathes deeply while he tries to center himself. Jun Su Anxiao turns to him with concern, but Shen Yu brushes him off. Now that they are being honest with each other, Shen Yu wants Jun Su Anxiao to promise him something. There is a blood stain on Shen Yu's lap, but Jun Su Anxiao does not see it as he is preoccupied with what Shen Yu wants to say. Shen Yu promises to tell Jun Su Anxiao everything he knows. After a moment's pause, Jun Su Anxiao agrees. You're no different to the Emperor, really. Shen Yu stands up and walks over to the desk. He grabs a pen and writes down his condition. The first on the list is to not touch him. Jun Su Anxiao enjoys sleeping with him, but Shen Yu can no longer bear it. The second condition is to allow him the freedom to move around, to come and go of the palace as he pleases. As Shen Yu is about to write the third condition, he stops and places the pen down. He tells Jun Su Anxiao that he currently has no other requirements. Jun Su Anxiao demands Shen Yu to lay down all of his conditions now, or he may regret it later. He unrelentingly tells Shen Yu that the first condition is not up to Shen Yu. Jun Su Anxiao claims he can get Shen Yu whenever he wants. Also, he finds it hard to accept the second condition as there is no guarantee that Shen Yu will not escape. Shen Yu calmly tells him that Jun Su Anxiao can have everything he's ever wanted, so adhering to Shen Yu's conditions may be worth it. Shen Yu promises to not back out on his words. Unconvinced, Jun Su Anxiao frowns at him. Eventually, he finally gives in and allows Shen Yu 3 months of rest. But once the 3 months are over, he wants everything, and that includes the mausoleum of King Chu and Shen Yu. The room is quiet after the commander leaves. Shen Yu felt disheartened by the turn of events. He knows that his time is limited, and his only wish is to not die in shame. A voice calls for him, coaxing him to wake up. He must have slept deeply after Jun Su Anxiao left. The voice belongs to Bian Shixi, telling him he looks terrible and asking why his condition worsened. Shen Yu is surprised that Bian Shixi is in the capital. The imperial doctor explained that this was his hometown and came back home as he finally got bored of the North City. He adds that he came there with the commander. A maid comes in with a basket filled with pastries and explains that it was given by someone outside the royal palace. The person who gave it even said that these are the imperial doctor's favorites from Joyful Restaurant. The basket contains chestnut cakes, wick cakes, sweet osmanthus, and lotus seed soup. Sounds yummy. Bian Shixi clicks his tongue and complains that those were no longer his favorites. The maid further explains that the man who sent the food apologized as he was being restricted in his mansion. Bian Shixi dismisses the excuse, claiming that he cannot be bought by a box of pastries. He demands that the person must come himself. The good doctor has a boyfriend. It must be the guy that he is avoiding. The doctor angrily tells the maid to say to the sender that he does not want to talk to him no matter what. The flustered maid agrees to relay the message. Bian Shixi then coaxes Shen Yu to try the pastries. He knows that they were good as they came from his favorite restaurant. The person who sent the basket is hell-bent on getting his forgiveness that he still remembers Bian Shixi's favorite foods. Shen Yu has no idea who he is talking about, but suspects Bian Shixi must be in love with the sender. Shen Yu is happy that Bian Shixi has someone he cares for and loves him back, even when they can't be together. Shen Yu can't help but compare his own situation. His body bends over due to sudden coughing, and Bian Shixi worries that he must have choked. He tells Shen Yu not to scare him. Bian Shixi checks Shen Yu's pulse and asks how often he has experienced his symptoms. Shen Yu answered that it already happened twice. The first was when the princess consort made him drink the poison, and the second time was when he came to the palace, although he was unconscious at the time. Bian Shixi concludes this is the third time, and the symptoms recur every 3 or 4 months. Bian Shixi warns Shen Yu that if it recurs more times, Shen Yu may die. Why do all the bad things happen to Shen Yu? Now he's dying. I'm starting to believe that he was really born under an unlucky star. That's the end of chapter 54. So before we end this video, here's a little omake. One day at the commander's mansion, before all the bad things happened, Jun Su Anxiao is facing away from his study's entrance. His hands move in different gestures as he follows the instructions from a book. He is startled when he hears Song Qing greet a visitor. With a bang, he slams the book down on the table. He hides his surprise with a cough and asks Shen Yu what he is doing in his study. Shen Yu gestures that he wants to walk in the garden. Jun Suansho pretends that he does not understand, telling him his desire to take a walk and inviting Shen Yu to walk with him. Shen Yu hurriedly follows behind Jun Suansho, happily tagging along. On the commander's desk, the book is titled A Manual for Gesture Language. It's sweet that he tried to learn sign language for Shen Yu. We'll leave it here for now. See you in the next video.